So, B, where are we headed today?
I thought we would take a little trip to the oldest fully operating distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. See what they have to offer.
Oh, so will you be sharing your experiences laying the foundation?
I hate you.
No, you don't.
What's up, Heather?
What's up, B? Road trip!
I'm picking the playlist. Welcome back, bourbon buffs, to another episode of Tortured Bourbon. If you love bourbon, bad puns, questionable life choices...
Did you just point at me when you said bad puns? So rude, anyway. Questionable life choices.
Well, you're in the right place.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, drop us a comment. We love to hear from you.
A huge thanks to all of our subscribers and supporters. You keep us sipping and talking. And if you haven't already, follow us on our socials. That would be Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You can find us at Tortured Bourbon. We even have a website, because who doesn't have a website? Links are in the description below.
And don't forget to get some Tortured Bourbon gear. We haven't plugged that in a while.
No.
These long sleeve tees are perfect for this time of year.
Yes, comfort colors.
It's very comfortable. All right, now that we've got all...
Soft dance. Doing my soft dance.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, you feel better?
I do feel good.
Oh,
I feel great.
I'm so glad. And your comfort colors tee.
That's right.
Feeling good.
Feeling good. Looking good.
Now that we've got all that out of the way, let's dive into today's episode. So we're going to head into the world of Barton 1792 Distillery. Like
correct.
we said earlier, it is the oldest fully operating distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. That's right, y'all. This place has been cranking out bourbon since 1879.
That means this distillery's been around longer than things like light bulbs, airplanes.
And your ability to make good life choices.
Accurate. But Barton's not just old. It's got some serious bourbon street cred. It's founded by Tom Moore, who was also an author, but not that Tom Moore, who was also a poet, but not that Tom
guy.
Moore. Just a different Tom Moore.
And a saint, we think.
We think. And he started distilling when bourbon was still being delivered in wagons uphill both ways.
In the snow. Tom Moore wasn't just some guy with a barrel and a dream, though. He actually did know his stuff. The man grew up in Bardstown, which sounds kind of awesome. And he which is basically because it's the bourbon capital of the world.
I bet it had a sign, future bourbon capital of the world.
You think so?
Even though they didn't know it was called bourbon, but that's okay.
No, and bourbon wasn't defined yet.
Not
But
yet.
it probably had it, for sure. If you're going to start a distillery, Bardstown is the great place to do it.
Certainly. Tom's Distillery, I liked it. Tom's Distillery. Hey, it's Tom's.
Oh, Tommy boy.
Yeah.
We keep getting more and more familiar.
Yeah. It didn't survive, it just thrived. Even during Prohibition, when most distilleries were shutting down faster than me at a karaoke bar.
Hey, did you know that I have a mean rendition of Sweet Caroline?
Yeah, just like Prohibition, we all wish it would end sooner.
You're so mean.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that.
Okay.
Back to Barton.
It's recorded.
Yeah, and if you also agree that B's really mean to me, drop a comment. Back to Barton. They got one of those fancy medicinal whiskey
whiskeys.
licenses. So they kept distilling
Medicine.
For all those really serious elements like boredom and really bad dance moves.
Breakups with your boyfriend or girlfriend.
No, you just jump off waterfalls for that.
Oh, that's right. Fast forward to 1944, when Barton Brands swooped in and bought the place. They renamed it, guess what? Barton Distillery.
Creative.
But it wasn't until they launched 1792 bourbon that things really got interesting.
Oh, 1792. It is named after the year Kentucky became a state.
And it is a commonwealth, as you learned.
I did learn. I learned, A, that's why it's called 1792, and B, that Kentucky is a commonwealth.
You're welcome.
So you've now taught me two things in life.
See, in 5th grade, I did a project on the state of Kentucky.
Congrats.
That was like 100 years ago, according to you, so keep going.
I bet that took a long time on those little, what did they call them, chalkboards?
You got jokes.
But get this. It wasn't always called 1792. When it first hit the shelves in 2002, it was named Ridgewood Reserve 1792.
Well, Ridgewood Reserve should sound somewhat familiar.
Yeah, the people at Brown-Forman, the folks behind Woodford Reserve, thought it sounded familiar too. My lawyer senses were going off a little bit. So they took Barton to court, as they should have, claiming trademark infringement.
They had beef. Bourbon beef.
I live for the drama. In 2004, a judge agreed with Brown-Forman and ordered Barton to change the name. So they went to Ridgemont Reserve, 1792. So different. For a bit, before finally simplifying it to 1792.
How does Ridgemont Reserve meet the...
It took the wood out.
Yeah, okay. The artist formerly known as Ridgewood Reserve. I can see Prince right now with his guitar. Just goes to show in the world of bourbon.
Rain.
That's right. Sing, go ahead. Talk about your karaoke skills. Sing it for him. Go ahead. We'll wait.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
You don't deserve my rendition of Purple Rain.
No, we do not. You were correct. None of us have done anything to deserve that. So even in the bourbon world, the names have beef. It's great.
You're so mean. You know what's not complicated, though?
This relationship is complicated.
Your face is complicated. Oh, see, no, he doesn't fight fair. You say the meanest things to me, and then if I dare come back at all, you pout like a little puppy. All right, we're done.
Even in the bourbon world, these words have a past. It's bizarre. Give me a
there's
break.
always got to be a story there.
Yeah.
So then it gets interesting. In 2009, Sazerac came along and bought Barton, which we're all shocked that Sazerac bought a company.
Hey.
You know, might know Sazerac is those, people behind Buffalo Trace. We've been talking about it for a while now. Yeah. Let's be real. When Sazerac buys a distillery, it's like when B buys bourbon on sale. You know it's going to be good. I wonder which of us wrote that.
And Sazerac just didn't slap their name on Barton and call it a day. They kind of did. But they also expanded the lineup with stuff like Thomas S. Moore Cast Finish Series, which have fun trying to find that.
But you know where you can get a pour of it?
Happy Endings.
That's right. So bourbon's finished in fancy casks like port, Cabernet, and Chardonnay. I love it. Because I like things to be a little bit bougie. And who doesn't like their bourbon to be a little bougie?
I'll have the bourbon with a hint of Cabernet.
I will definitely buy you a drink if you go up to the bar and order it like that.
Oh, happening now.
Deal. Even with all the changes, Barton kept things real. They still use water from their own limestone spring on site.
Are we really supposed to believe they get all the water for all the bourbon they make from one little spring?
There's no way. They do have 29 barrel aging houses, which makes it sound like bourbon heaven, honestly.
It does. And don't forget, in our research, we learned about the great warehouse collapse of 2018.
Ah, the great collapse.
Yeah, it was dramatic.
Sounds very dramatic.
Yeah.
Half the warehouse just gave up and said, I'm done warehousing. But rumor has it that some of those barrels that were exposed to the elements came out with unique flavor profiles.
Who do you think started that rumor?
I'm pretty sure 1792 did.
Yeah, because we're going to find a way to turn this
Barton's
collapse
like,
into $1.
Here's this special bottle that came from the barrel that got rained on for 2 weeks.
It's aged in the wild. It's rugged outdoorsman whiskey.
This was recovered from the rubble of the broken warehouse.
That's right. It's special.
Now pay us $300
That's
for
right.
it.
So we're going to start with Very Old Barton.
How could you miss it? It's the biggest bottle I've ever seen.
You ever wonder why it's called Very Old?
Because moderately aged Barton doesn't really have a ring to it.
It really doesn't.
No.
It's actually a nod to the old school bourbon style. Smooth, dependable, and it's also easy on your wallet. Now, this mega bottle here, it clocks in at 86 proof. And that mega bottle costs...
What, $5?
Yeah.
No, I think it was like 30, 32.
Yeah, so this costs $29.99.
Okay, yeah.
And amazingly, this bad boy is allocated in the state of North Carolina. In buying bourbon, I have seen it exactly twice.
Oh,
twice.
No,
the first time
I've
we
only
saw
seen
it.
once.
No, we did. If you remember, we went to an allocation event in Youngsville with the drawing lot.
You're right.
And some people, but it was gone by the time we got in there. So people were spending when there was Blanton's and
Jimmy Russell's
70th and all types of stuff. And they had the high end, hard to find Widow Jane in the black box.
The decadence.
People bought that first.
Don't understand.
All right.
I am so happy we got the 70th anniversary.
Yeah, but this should be a well.
Well, this should also last us until, the end of time.
And that's what we have in
but
our glasses, and it should be the well.
Exactly. It's got the well screw top. I mean, it's the price range of the well. That's what it should be. That's what I'm expecting it to taste like.
I mean, the fact that it's in glasses.
It's
a miracle.
It's not Kentucky Gentleman, okay?
Oh yes.
Yeah, okay, it's more ancient agey.
Yeah. Now on the nose.
Yeah. What are we supposed to smell here?
Yeah. We should smell rich caramel, oak, and a hint of vanilla.
I mean, that sounds pleasant.
Like bourbon.
Shocker. So tasting it, we're gonna find smooth caramel up front, and then that's supposed to be followed by toasted nuts and a little peppery spice on the finish. Not supposed to be fancy, but a solid pour.
This has a following.
It has a following. Kind of like I'm finding Ancient Age has a little bit of a following too.
And people will also tell you that if you could find the Very Old Barton before Sazerac took it over, or the Very Old Barton before a certain year, and if it was in the left side of the rick house by the right hand side, and Jimbo the Third, he put that barrel up there and spun it around 3 times. It tastes so different. Cast a spell. Yeah, and they probably use different limestone water.
That's how the warehouse collapsed. They were up there doing their little voodoo
magic
spells.
Yeah. Let's just taste this and smell it. Yeah,
it's also lighter, a little sweet,
and it's less than 90 proof.
It's got some heat that comes up at the end. A little pepper.
Okay, there's a little pepper.
Mm-hmm. That's what I meant by heat. Even though it's only 86 proof, I actually get a lot of ethanol. And maybe it's just my first sip of the day.
So we had Very Old Barton up we did a tasting of this a couple months ago at a bar.
You didn't love it.
I don't. I mean, now, I think it is, in my recollection, it's better than Ancient Age.
I agree with that.
We'll probably find out it's the exact same thing. When the world ends and we can go break into Buffalo Trace and look in their records, maybe it's not. It actually has a little more color, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. It has a little less of that.
I think it is non-pretentious. I think it's a smooth sipper. I think it's a great intro to bourbon. I mean, $30 for all the bourbon you'll ever drink.
But the taste profile and stuff and the price are right on par for what I would sit out at a party.
I like it better than Jack Daniels.
I do too. It's easier to sip for me than Jack Daniels. What does this rank for you be?
For me, this is a bless your heart.
I don't love the smell. This is a bless your heart from the standpoint of this is a mixer for me. I'm not gonna reach for this for a neat pour. Next up, we've got 1792 small batch. It's coming in at 93.7 proof, so a little higher than what we just had. On the nose, we're supposed to get butterscotch, toffee, and a touch of cinnamon spice, which, spoiler alert, B loves him some cinnamon. So I'm interested to see how much you like this one.
The taste should be rich and full-bodied. You're supposed to get sweet caramel up front, but then it's supposed to surprise us with some baking spices and rye with a little bite.
It's definitely going to be more complex than the Very Old Barton, but
it should be.
It should be.
And times we've had it before, it definitely is.
Absolutely. And it should still be pretty approachable. All right, so on the nose. Okay, the cinnamon is there at the back end of the smell.
Yeah, and the butterscotch is in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Or you call that caramel. I don't care. You can call it anything.
I think that one is more of a butterscotch. I agree with the butterscotch. I'm not saying it's a stark difference, but there is some subtle difference there. Right. So let's taste it. I'm having a little trouble finding the sweet caramel up front. What about you?
I think the bite happens mid-tone.
Mm-hmm. It happens early.
And I think that disguises the sweetness a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, bite is the right word.
Absolutely.
And there is some baking spice there, and the rye is definitely on point on the back. It is not an overtly sweet bourbon.
No.
But I'm not getting any nuttiness. It's more of a spicy.
The breathe out for me is a little young oak.
I can see that. Do we know roundabout age on this?
Sazerac.
In 2013, they removed the 8-year age statement.
So it's younger than 8 years.
Yeah. So round 6 is probably right. Yeah. What do you think about it?
I think it's a dog will hunt. It's not my favorite. Mm-hmm. That's okay. You don't have to be. I do like 1792. whenever I look at the bottle, I expect a different flavor profile than what I end up drinking, and I don't understand that. It's bizarre. That's nothing to do for them. Something weird in my mind.
I always feel like this is going to taste rich. Like mapley, buttery.
I do. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know why. That's completely preconceived notions.
Yeah.
But this is a That Dog Will Hunt for me too. I like it, but it's not something I would actively seek, I think, on a daily basis.
I think this is one of these where there's a person out there where this is their favorite. It hits their flavor profile.
Yeah.
I don't taste it. The baking spices are there. The rye's certainly there.
For me, the bite keeps me from tasting as many individual flavors. And so that, for me, hurts it a little for me.
And I can tell you that to me, it's a completely different flavor profile than, say, Buffalo Trace.
Oh, yeah.
And being it's owned by Sazerac, that makes sense that we have a product here that we can have on the shelf that is pretty available, small batches around, and it's a different flavor profile. So that makes sense. You don't want it all to taste the same.
No, you
Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, right. Just bottle one thing, call it a day.
Yeah. Now, for the 1792 Bottled and Bond. Now, you know the deal. If you want to learn more about Bottled and Bond, we did a
Exhaustive.
multi-month exploration in Bottled and Bond. And here's the link actually to the entire series, but this is in that series. It's aged, it's 100 proof. It's aged at least 4 years, and it all comes from one distillation season. Has to be in a bonded warehouse. Learn about all that in that link.
For this one, we're supposed to have a nose of oak, vanilla, and a hint of dark cherry. Which, cherry is always a hit or miss for me because I think we're so trained to smell cherry as that artificial cherry smell and flavor that it's almost... I don't eat fresh cherries. It's not one of my preferred fruits, so I have a hard time picking that out.
Tasting it, we should find it caramel sweetness, which is what I'm looking for. Balance out with some peppery spice and a little leather. So once again, John Wayne's bootstraps come into this bourbon. And it's supposed to give us a little Bottled and Bond punch.
Let's see how that nose comes in.
Now that nose is more inviting. That nose is more inviting.
I prefer that in the small batch. I agree. And I'm not going to say I get dark cherry because, again, that's not something I consume. But I do get where they're getting a fruitiness there.
In the oak and the vanilla.
But it's not a citrusy type of fruitiness.
No, it's a dark fruit.
It's a dark fruit, absolutely.
This is, to me, going to get closer to maple.
Yeah. I also like this flavor profile better than I like the small batch. This actually lets me get the caramel up front before I hit the peppery spice. Mm-hmm. And there is that peppery spice at the back, but you get to have the sweetness first.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. The pepper's further on the back of my tongue on this one.
Mm-hmm. You make a good point because it is fascinating. I don't know if you probably did this experiment in school too.
There's different
on
flavors
the stone
on different
tablets.
parts of the tongue.
When they used to take, I don't know, at my school they would take either Q-tips or toothpicks and you would dip them in different things and taste them on different areas of your tongue. And they taste differently in kind of different zones. And it also can depend on whether it's an acid or a base or sour or sweet. So there's a bourbon tie there. Yeah, absolutely. We probably won't be instructing the class on that, but someone out there is definitely qualified to do so. You're right, B, with it's more approaching on the flavor wheel. We've kind of been looking at those things more recently. Yeah. This is going more into the maple, caramel, vanilla realm over here. Molasses.
With the pepper on the end versus up, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the spice.
Well, and it for me, it feels like a Bottled and Bond. It hits like a Bottled and Bond.
That's fair.
I like this a lot.
I know you do.
This is a hush your mouth for me.
I know it is.
Do you want to tell me what else I'm thinking right now? What am I thinking right now?
You want me to go make you a s'mores?
Well, that's always true. That's cheating.
There's something in that nice chew. I don't know how to describe it. I'd like to know if that, to me, now see this, I don't know the difference in age. It's a little darker to me. I can taste a little more sweet up front. Mm-hmm. Then there's like this chew to it, like right now. And that chew to me is oaky. Mm-hmm. Kind of oaky.
Yeah.
Not quite peanutty, but woody. No. Okay. Maybe that's the leather. Maybe that's John Wayne.
That's leather. That's you go.
That's John Wayne.
I'm going to buy you a leather strap to chew on.
Sounds
so delicious.
For me, it's a hush your mouth. And I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. I like it
I'm
a
a
lot.
fan.
Yeah.
I forgot how much I like it, actually.
I know. I was literally about to say, I forgot that I liked this so much. Why haven't we been drinking it?
Now, on price point, it could be an everyday sipper.
Remind me how much this one runs us.
$41.95, it kind of crosses into that weird threshold. At $41.95, this is priced the same thing as Michter's U.S. Highway 1.
U.S. Highway 1.
I know, I hate that name. U.S. 1, you know.
Yeah, but George Washington didn't drink this, okay?
Fair. And I'm sure he drank the other. So, I mean, but it's also, for its price, I think it hits really well.
Yeah.
I think it fills a really good void. I think it's almost, if it costs $9 more, I think it'd be worth it. I think when you're trying,
like you said, this one punches above its pay grade a little bit.
So when you're trying to challenge this one,
I messed up the
no,
bottle again.
No, not that. I was worried because it's not, this is a barrel and we got a marker there for our bottle and it was moving. I was like, why is it moving?
This barrel was used. It's a real barrel.
We love our barrel.
We do love our barrel.
We love our barrel. If we were gonna put this up against something again, where it would be interesting is to do a blind tasting with this in early times, where early times, you get the mega bottle for whatever. And then interesting enough, 1792 is the one Barton makes the bottled in bond for Kirkland.
That's right.
So it would be interesting to take those three
and taste them against each
and
other.
taste them blind. That show is coming your way. That show's coming your way. Because then because early times is now.
And by the way, we love all three of those.
Yeah, they're all
fantastic. Great. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if we put those three against each other.
If we can pick it out.
Well, which one we like the best?
I like your idea. Finally, the big one, 1792 full proof, coming in at 125 proof. This one is the one that took home World's Best Bourbon in 2018.
They say that the nose should be full of molasses, vanilla, and charred oak. You should be able to, smell the strength in this one.
That's 125.
Yeah.
What we should look out for on the palate is dark chocolate, toffee, and a big hit of spice that lingers.
Does it linger?
It lingers.
Does it linger?
You have to.
Do you have to let it linger?
You have to.
Do you have to let it linger? Okay, so the alcohol's there.
Well, it's 125 proof.
Now, what we have learned about full proofs is that it is smart to open them before and spin them. Spin it. You spin me right round, baby, like a record, baby, right round. And let them breathe. And we've noted that kind of like a Bordeaux. Now, obviously, you don't have to let it up for 12 hours.
Right.
But you do want to let it. And
do you have my Bordeaux decanting out there?
For the Super Bowl party? No.
All right, so on the smell, once you get past the 125, and honestly, it's not too hard to get past it.
No.
I definitely get the molasses on this one.
Molasses, yeah.
Absolutely. And the oak. You are better at pulling out oak than I am. But
I don't know that that's
I definitely think it's there. But I am absolutely getting the molasses vanilla.
Well, the charred oak is there. The charred oak is there.
I'm excited to see if I can get dark chocolate in this. That is sweeter than I expected.
So I'm not a dark chocolate.
I'm going to convert you. It's fine.
But
it's happening. It's on my to-do list.
But I like that a lot.
When I have a full proof, I really like when it's a high proof point, but I can still taste individual flavor points. I'm not overwhelmed by the high proof point.
She's trying really hard not to say the word complex.
No, I'm not. I get a little bit of a dark chocolate with fruit, but like a jammed fruit. So either like a raspberry or a cherry with the dark chocolate on this. So I want to see if, now that I've said that, if you get it. Not on the smell, on the taste.
I know, but I really like the smell of this one. The nose is pleasing. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
So I get the dark chocolate with that fruity jam flavor kind of like right after the initial hit.
So I think you and I taste two different things.
Okay.
But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I think we taste two different things.
No, I'm very interested to hear what you're tasting.
So what I get up front is I hold it in the front and it starts warming up. Right? My taste buds start tingling. I get this subtle bitterness, which reminds me of dark chocolate. to me, dark chocolate becomes too bitter. For
Okay.
me. But this does not. That's where the line for me with dark chocolate
So
is.
maybe you just need a different percentage of dark chocolate, but we'll get
Good
there.
Lord.
We'll get there.
I like cheap chocolate, I admit it. Except that's not true.
That's not true.
I really
You
like,
lie.
I really like some nice chocolate.
You lie.
But I do like cheap chocolate. I get that. And then it's not pepper. But these darker spices, I'm calling them darker because I'm thinking more of things that invite the term brown sugar, molasses, but with some heat. Mm-hmm. And those things are, to me, chili.
Chili powder.
Okay?
Interesting.
And those things, to me, invoke a different taste profile because this warms my mouth and then different things come out. Then there's some oak. Then there's some nut. And then it just, I think that's what a foolproof does for me.
So I think it's so interesting, actually, that you say that. Because, a lot of times a secret ingredient in a lot of people's chili is actually cocoa powder or dark chocolate. Or like Mexican hot chocolate. Or a lot of like gourmet Mexican chocolates will combine like cayenne or some sort of pepper with bittersweet chocolate.
I put brown sugar in mine.
So I think that's a really interesting. I put brown sugar in my baked beans. I really like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like the balance of sweet and spice pepper in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's both. B is still chewing. To me, the proof point is not overwhelming like Stag. You still get to taste the individual flavor points.
This is an excellent bottle. Mm-hmm. This is actually, I'd like to thank Steve for helping us support this episode and our next episode because we're using a mixture of his bottles and our bottles. We were actually able to pull a bottle of Foolproof
this week in the Wake County Bourbon Bonanza. Madness.
And
with no rhyme or reason to it.
Yep. And I'm happy we did because it was kind of one of the ones that was missing in our 1792 shelf.
It's a quality bottle. Used to, this overwhelmed us. We didn't know what to do with it. And now we've trained our palate enough on the cheese fries that we can appreciate the coq au vin.
Make what?
Coq au vin.
I don't know what that is.
It's Julia Child. Or it's just French. I don't know. I've never made it either.
I'll make you some cheese fries.
B's a really good cook. Don't let him fool you.
Got the cocoa. Love this. Here's the problem. We just rated the bottle and bond.
Hush your mouth.
Hush your mouth. And now we're sitting here with a Foolproof. And I got to tell you, I'm grabbing the Foolproof over the bottle and bond. But is it cock of the walk? No.
No.
Because here's where I want to class it. I want to class it up against other Foolproofs. Mm-hmm. And the Foolproof that I take over this
Stag
is our Stag. Yes.
I knew that's where you're going.
And I take the Russell's 15 over this.
You can come to the party. Like, this can come to the party, for sure.
If we go in, because we live in a tortured state, first world problems, got it. There's a lot going on in the world. I don't want to equate that. But if we go into the ABC store tomorrow, and we're just in there to casually pick up a bottle for the party, but they've got that behind the counter on the allocated, you get one a person, even if I've got a bottle of that,
I'm going to grab it.
We're buying a bottle of that. That's what we're looking for in our journey.
I'm going to rank this an easy hush your mouth.
Yeah.
Which is what you said. But like you said, it's a slightly higher hush your mouth for me than the bottled in bond. And I'm not passing that up behind the counter.
Never.
So, there you have it, y'all.
So, what we'd like you to do is we'd like you to understand that next week, thanks to Steve, one of our great patrons, we have a whole nother episode coming to you on 1792 because they have 3 allocated products. The sweet wheat, which we have a bottle of. Mm-hmm. It's that we have talked about.
Spoiler.
Oh.
So good.
It's so different.
It's so good.
So we got the sweet wheat. We have the aged 12 years. And we have a single barrel. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start off with that single barrel because it's kind of, it's the small batch single barrel. It's kind of, it's the baseline of what
bridge.
Should be,
it's
right?
The bridge, yeah.
And then we're going to look at 2 expressions, which are supposed to, one is wheated, and obviously their other one is, this is the oldest expression of their...
Which I'm looking forward to trying.
Absolutely. That we haven't had.
Yeah.
So, as always, unfortunately, all that I have left is the
the Very Old Barton.
Very Old Barton.
I've enjoyed these 4 bourbons. They've been unique, but it's kind of had a lot of history in every sip.
It's been a great show. I hope some people enjoy it.
It's been a good episode, but until...
Like and subscribe.
Until the next 1792 episode, cheers, y'all. Are you ready, Bandit? Are you ready, baby? Yeah.
Someone say my name. Someone say my name.
Are you ready? Okay. You ready, go? Let's do it. Anyway, it's very short.
In that sense, you see Skater Boy.
She said, "See you later, boy."
It was.
Good
She was like, it was.
enough for her.
She was like, I was so rebellious. I'm like, shut up.
No, you weren't. She did. She thought she made it because she spelled it SK8. And she was like, I was so alternative and different. No.
Played on G105. Shut up.
Anyway. Skater boy. She said, "See you later, boy."